Live from New York, this is the Harvey Hour. My name's Nathan Harvey, and as always, I'm joined alongside my dad, Stephen Harvey. How you doing today on this Friday evening, 6:30 p.m. Eastern?
Happy Friday, happy Good Friday, happy Easter.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always good to
happy
be here
Passover.
on a Friday. Yeah, it's a big holiday weekend.
It's a big holiday weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. Easter is this it's this Sunday. Family gatherings, I assume, are sweeping the nation.
Yep.
But today's episode of the Harvey Hour, it may be a quick one, who knows, but it's definitely going to be an important one. We got our mock drafts a little bit later on in the show, but let's get into our first topic because we are talking about something that Cam Newton said yesterday on his YouTube channel. He uploaded a video on his YouTube channel. He's been saying this since like his Auburn Pro Day, how there aren't 32 quarterbacks better than Cam Newton. And he said in that YouTube video how he would consider actually being a backup if that meant he could come into the NFL again, if he could have another chance. And he sort of alluded to actually being on a team with a Justin Herbert or with a quarterback like a Patrick Mahomes and sort of compete for their jobs, sort of, I guess, outperform them, I guess. But Cam Newton alluded to this. He listed them off. I believe this was in order of like who he wants to play with and who his connections are. So it starts off with Deshaun Watson, then it goes Malik Willis and Tua and Lamar. Or let's go down the list. Let's go in order. I'm going out of order here. Deshaun Watson, Malik Willis, Tua, Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen, Justin Fields, Lamar Jackson, Sam Howell, Aaron Rodgers, and then 3 rookies. That isn't in the order that he had it in, but that is his list. So 3 rookies. Rodgers, who we don't know what team he's going to be on, whether it's the Jets or it's the Packers. But if it's the Jets, they just signed Tim Boyle to a 1-year deal. So I don't think that's going to work out too well. Sam Howell, I don't know why you would back up Sam Howell. Malik Willis isn't even the starter, so you'd be the 3rd string. But let's get into this. Could Cam Newton still be a starter in this league? And I also want to know what your reaction to Cam Newton's list, what your reaction was.
I think it's interesting. I think Cam Newton was and may still be a very good athlete. He's getting older, taking a lot of hits, and he hadn't performed very well when he's had the opportunities in recent years. His first stint with the Patriots, he started out pretty good. Then he got COVID, and after he came back, he was not the same player. Maybe he was still lingering effects from that. I don't know. But then he went back to the Panthers. He had a shot there, and he didn't do very well. And
right.
they let him go. So still wants to play, and that's admirable. The NFL's not easy. There's a lot of work to get ready to be a quarterback in the NFL, and the conditioning and all of that, and the hits that you take. So the fact that he wants to still play, I think, is credible for him. Is there a team he could be a starter on? Maybe the Colts. They got nothing. Right? That's a team that potentially he could play for. How about the Texans? They're going to draft a quarterback for sure.
So are the Colts.
And the Colts are too, but whether those guys are going to be ready or not remains to be seen. So I do think he's, right now I'd say he could play for the Colts, and they'd be better than what they got right now. I saw their backup quarterback play against the Patriots. Man, he was horrible. I haven't seen anyone quite that bad. So I don't think that some of these teams would want him backing up their starter. I don't think Cleveland would want him. I don't think that the Dolphins would want him. I'm pretty sure the Eagles wouldn't want him. The Bills aren't going to want him. I don't know about Chicago. Maybe they'd like to have him because he's a similar type of quarterback that Justin Fields, although he's nowhere near as fast, I don't think now. That maybe the Ravens will want him as a starter if they lose Lamar. Who knows? Sam Howell, I don't know. Probably he could be a backup for him. Green Bay, I don't see him going there. They've already got Jordan Love. And the rookies, sure, why not? I think he could be a backup for them. I don't know what kind of a mentor the coaches would think he might be, because that's what they'd want for a rookie quarterback, is some veteran that could help the rookie get used to playing in the NFL. So those are my thoughts.
He's not. He can't be a starter, and he's not going to be a backup. I don't think he'll ever make his return to the NFL whatsoever.
How old is he now?
He is 33 years old.
Yeah.
Turning 34 soon. The last time we saw Cam Newton was back in, I believe it was 2021. He made his comeback to the Panthers after being hurt. The Panthers released him. The Patriots picked him up. And then the following year, he played one season with the Patriots. And then he got, I believe he was released in the offseason because he got beaten out by Mac Jones. The Panthers re-sign him, and he comes back, and he starts off pretty well. In his first game back against Washington, in a loss, he was 21 of 27, 189 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, passer rating of 120.5. So he started off great, and then after that, it all fell back down to earth. The following game against Miami, he went 5 of 21. That's 23.81% completion percentage. No touchdowns, 2 picks, a passer rating of 5.8.
That's pretty bad.
He never got back into the 70s again. He played three games after that. He didn't even finish out his last start. He went 0 for 5 since his comeback to the Panthers. Went 0 for 5. He had one decent game against Atlanta. He had 65% completion percentage, 178 yards, no touchdown, 1 pick. He just didn't play well. So Cam Newton's not going to be a starter. There's no way he could be a starter. Malik Willis, first of all, he says he wants to be a backup to Malik Willis. Malik Willis isn't even the starter. He'd be the 3rd-string quarterback. No team is going to pay Cam Newton to be a 3rd-string quarterback. He would need to take the bare minimum, a bare veteran minimum, to even be in the league again.
Maybe he finds a way back in during the season if other players get injured.
I still don't think his value wouldn't be there. I mean, think about this. The 49ers had a QB issue. They called Big Ben before they didn't even call Cam Newton. They called Big Ben. Phillip Rivers has gotten calls. Yeah. Cam Newton isn't getting calls.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
Sam Howell, we don't even know what he really looks like. He had played 1 or 2 games. Who knows what's going to happen there? Tua's injury problems, so I don't know what the Dolphins may do. They may draft a quarterback late in this draft. Deshaun Watson, all these teams don't need a backup. And if he's saying that he's going to try to potentially compete for starting jobs over a Mahomes, a Josh Allen, or any one of those top-tier players, he's out of his mind. He's nowhere near the talent of any of those guys. We saw it firsthand when he was on the Patriots. He had more rushing touchdowns than pass. He had what? I'm going to bring it up right now. I believe he had under 5 he had 8 passing touchdowns, 10 interceptions. Single-digit passing touchdowns. And he's a starter in the league?
Yeah.
Hell, he's a backup in the league? Cooper Rush did better. Gardner Minshew, I'm sure if he was given a chance, could be better. And that's your guy on the Colts. The Colts are drafting a quarterback, so I don't think there's no point there. And Gardner Minshew's a fine backup. We saw him come into the Eagles. They did lose both games, but he went toe-to-toe against a ferocious Cowboys defense. At that time, it wasn't that great because they gave up 34 points. Yeah, the Eagles gave up 40 points. I think the Cowboys defense gave up 34. So Gardner Minshew played pretty well with the Eagles. Now he's going to the Colts. For all I know, that they may take the route of a Lamar, or maybe they'll tank for Caleb Williams in the following draft. So who knows? We may see Gardner Minshew play.
Yeah, maybe.
The rookies are all going to teams that have a bad quarterback anyway. That probably would be the backup. The Panthers. I'm off the top of my head, I'm not sure who their backup quarterback is because I don't think PJ Walker's on the roster anymore. They got rid of Sam Darnold. Baker Mayfield's no longer there, so I got no idea who the backup of that team is.
Well, I think Levis is going to the Colts.
Levis could go to the Colts. Bryce Young on the Texans. Davis Mills will be the backup there. The Panthers have Andy Dalton. That's who they got over there.
Yeah.
Anthony Richardson, I don't know where the hell he's going. We have our mock drafts that we'll get into. But any team he goes to, I'm sure will have a fine backup, regardless of who it is. If it's the Colts, you got Gardner Minshew. If it's a team like the Raiders are doing some shopping around for quarterbacks, they got Jimmy G that could be a backup. So every single backup right now, I think, is at the level or maybe even slightly above Cam Newton is at this current moment. Cam Newton's been dealing with injuries. He's nowhere near 2015 Cam, that Superman MVP season. Nowhere near it.
That was a long time ago.
If he was, he wouldn't even be a backup. He'd be a starter still if he was a glimpse of MVP Cam Newton. Because that was incredible what we saw. back in 2015.
He's big.
He is.
He's tough.
Absolutely. But he's also dealing with some pretty bad
injuries. Not that
injuries.
accurate a passer.
Definitely not. For his career, he's 59.9%.
Wow.
So he's not that accurate. So
he's got a rock. He's got a strong arm, though. He can throw it a mile, but he's not very accurate. Yeah.
I mean, some of those passes when he was on the Patriots were duds. I couldn't believe that the Patriots actually went to get him.
Yeah.
And by the way, his time to really campaign for his job wouldn't be right before the draft. It would be right after the Super Bowl, right before free agency opens. That's when your job is to campaign for a backup or a starting job.
Maybe he's just trying to make noise on his podcast.
For views?
Yeah.
For views?
Maybe he's looking for views.
I mean, he's been doing this for like 2 years now, where he's trying to get a job and he can't. No team has called him. He threw at Auburn's pro day. He looked all right, but then again, these pro days and these combines, they're against air. It's like the OBJ workout video that he posted of him like catching passes. It's against air. Like, you're not really doing much. Yeah, you could look nice and crisp in your routes, or you could show off your arm talent. But once you need some sort of defender there. You need to be in some sort of gameplay. And if you're throwing it with no defenders around through air, that's not really helping you out. That's just showing, you still have arm talent. Hell, Brett Favre still has arm talent. Joe Montana, I'm sure, could still sling the ball. That isn't really saying much.
How about that?
I mean, you don't think Joe Montana could still sling the ball? We're not talking about 65 yards. We're talking about a good 35, 40-yard pass.
Well, maybe. He's no youngster now, man. He's getting up there in age.
I mean,
he's got to be close
Big
to
Ben
60
was
years
throwing
old.
Big Ben was throwing duds, and the 49ers called him. Big Ben looked horrible the last 2-3 years of his career. He still got calls. Phillip Rivers, who didn't look too great on the Colts before he retired.
I think he did okay with the Colts.
He made it to the playoffs.
Yeah,
it's just
that's pretty good.
He couldn't win in the playoffs. Like, that playoff game was bad against Buffalo.
Well,
it was a bad game. But
when had the Colts been to the playoffs before that?
Quite a while.
Back to Andrew Luck.
Yeah. So, Cam Newton, you're not better than 32 quarterbacks, and hell, you may not even be good than 32 backups in the league. But you're not going to get a call. The thing that shocked me was the fact that he said he was going to be a backup, because before his mentality was, I'm not a backup. I'm better than 30. I'm better than at least one quarterback out of the 32 right now.
Yeah.
And now that he's saying is like this sort of screams desperation now. It's getting to the level of T.O. T.O. is still saying, he's saying, Jerry Jones, I still can play.
T.O. played, right? He played in the didn't he play in the XFL last year?
He played it wasn't the XFL, it was the fan league. It was the fan driven league. But like, it's getting to that level where you're saying, hey, so and so, I could still play, and you're not going to get a call. Technically, could you still play? Yeah, I mean, once again, I'm sure some of these quarterbacks that are retired, like Big Ben looked horrible the last year he was playing.
Well, he has a lot of experience, right? He can learn an offense, I'm pretty sure, right?
I don't think so.
He has a lot of experience.
I'm not too sure about that, because he got signed, I believe, in July with the Patriots, and he said that he was having trouble learning the playbook. So I don't know how great Cam Newton could be, regardless of what position he's in, backup or starter.
Yeah.
So I don't know where exactly Cam Newton is thinking he's going to get a job, but hey, it very well could be for views. And you know what? That
maybe he would have been the right quarterback for Matt Patricia's offense.
Oh God! Exactly. Yeah, mostly
would have been easy to learn, right? There's only about 10 plays. 10
scripted passing plays, mostly screens and running the ball. There you go. But Mac Jones beat him out in that offense, so that's the shocking thing. Or I guess it wasn't that offense. It was Josh McDaniels' offense. But I want to get into our next topic here. We're back talking about the Patriots, because Gronk went on, I believe it was Kay Adams' show, and Gronk said that he feels like Lamar is Bill Belichick's dream quarterback, the type of quarterback that has that mobility to him. So I want to know your thoughts on this. Do you think it's a big mistake that Belichick isn't really pursuing, and the rumors are that the Patriots have dropped out or weren't even really interested in the Lamar sweepstakes? So I want to know, do you think that this is a problem and this is a mistake that the Patriots are making at the hands of Bill Belichick?
I don't think so, because I think they may say they're out of it, but they're still watching it for sure. I think the money part of it is the problem for the Patriots and every other team. for that matter, Lamar Jackson's asking for way too much. So, and the Patriots would have to pay all that money and still give up 2 first-round picks. That's a lot to pay for one player. And I don't think Belichick looks at his team as a one-player, one-dimensional type of team. He's big on defense. I think he does like to run the ball. I think maybe Gronk was dissing Brady a little bit when he said that, right? A mobile quarterback, which Tom Brady never was very mobile. He didn't have to be. He had the brains to beat everybody with, and his arm. So I don't know what Gronk's total message was there. I do believe that Bill Belichick would love to have Lamar Jackson. I just don't think that like many other teams now, the price tag is just too high.
Yeah. It would be very out of character for Bill Belichick to pursue Lamar Jackson. He doesn't spend market value on players, let alone overpay for a player like Lamar Jackson, who's asking for over $230 million fully guaranteed. And that's not even the end of it. He wants more than that, just it doesn't need to be guaranteed. He just wants at least $231 million fully guaranteed. So this would be completely out of character for Bill Belichick to sign this, but I don't think it was a nod at Brady. I mean, Gronk, Amendola, Edelman, Brady, they were all on the beaches of, I think, somewhere in Florida.
Gronk likes
football.
to pick on Brady. He came
Joking
on.
matter.
He came on the podcast that Brady is on. I listened to it. Right,
Yeah,
Gronk came
Let's
on.
Go podcast.
He was driving his car. He pulled off on the edge of the road and came on there. Right.
Yeah.
And he said, Tom never looked off the safety when he threw it to me over the middle. And that's why I got injured so much. He likes to pick on Brady.
That was a funny moment, but I mean, it would be very different than when Bill Belichick. I mean, not even really. Bill Belichick tried to sort of do what Lamar, like that play style with Cam Newton. Now Cam Newton is nowhere near the talent Lamar is. But that sort of experiment Belichick did try with Josh McDaniels, who's one of the best offensive coordinators in the league. He tried that experiment and it absolutely failed. They went 7-9 and missed the playoffs. Cam Newton didn't look that great. Although, I don't have the number in front of me, but I'm pretty sure their offensive weapons were 30th. 30th wide receiver core rankings at that time. It was definitely bottom 5 in the league. But they tried this experiment. I don't think it'll work, especially, I mean, maybe with Bill O'Brien. Bill O'Brien, we got to see what Mac Jones looks like with Bill O'Brien. Hell, we might not even see Mac Jones. We may see Bailey Zappi under center at week 1.
Well, the rumor is that Belichick's been shopping Mac Jones.
Yeah, that report has been all over the place. You have different reporters saying different things. Albert Breer is saying that there were some calls potentially made. You got it was a whole thing. You got other reporters saying they haven't heard anything from any team. According to those, it's a whole hodgepodge of weird information. There's no true definite answer because there's a bunch of different reporters saying a bunch of different things. But we do know Belichick is mad at Mac Jones. That has been widely reported for months.
Yep.
But if it comes down to that the Patriots are seriously interested in Lamar Jackson and they would need to get off Mac Jones to do it, I would be open to that. I would be 100% open to that. Because Lamar is, I'm not going to say infinitely better, but significantly better than Mac Jones.
Oh, yes.
Especially athleticism-wise.
Yep.
And that's something the Patriots have had, a little sniff of, but it was absolutely terrible because you got a washed Cam Newton who was trying to come back from injury and reinvigorate his career. And it was terrible. But it could be the talent because the Patriots, since like 2019 or 2018, have had no receivers. Hell, in the past 23 years, they haven't had many receivers. It just got shrouded in the darkness of Tom Brady. They had like Randy Moss, Wes Welker, and that was basically it. We're not Gronk's a tight end.
How about Julian Edelman?
Okay, I'll give you Julian Edelman. Yeah.
How about Danny Amendola?
He's not that good of a receiver. I'm telling you, he was like a 600-yard receiver.
Pretty good for them.
For them, that's what I'm saying. That's what I just said. He's shrouded in the darkness of the Tom Brady aura. Amendola's like a 600-yard receiver outside of the Patriots. Not that good. Chris Hogan had no career outside the Patriots. Julian Edelman, he was on the Patriots' entire career and was extremely efficient. Well, I think he'd still be a wide receiver 2 on the top 10 teams, regardless of that point of his career. So the Patriots haven't had much talent. So Lamar would... I think the Patriots have a little bit more talent than the Ravens do. So would Lamar look like people say that the Ravens have no receivers? That is somewhat true. I think they're young. They need to develop, so that's a little bit of the problem with it. So I think Lamar may look a little bit better if he was on the Patriots, but we're not talking about infinitely better. Lamar has some decision-making problems. He had a lot of red zone interceptions last season. He's also not there. He's not available. And Belichick would probably be one of the first coaches to tell you the best ability is availability, and especially if you're in playoff contention.
Somebody should have told that to the Jets.
Yeah.
They got all the pieces that Aaron Rodgers wants. They don't have him.
Right, which is very, very weird. But when you look at it, Lamar, I brought this up. Lamar's played one game out of a potential 12 in December and January. That's when Belichick would like you the most to be available.
Yeah,
because
and the Patriots have had tough luck the last 2 years in December.
Right,
they haven't played that well in December. Whereas in the past, they were always December was their month. They
would start off slow,
undefeated in December.
Right, but then again, you have a relatively young team, and the Patriots defense peaks very early on. And then it's a slow drop off, and then when December hits,
it didn't really drop off much this year, though. This
2021 was bad.
2021, I agree.
2021 was bad.
Did drop off. They got tired. They had too many old players. They got rid of all of them.
Right. So I would definitely be open to this move. I think Lamar may look a little bit better. I don't think the excuse of having no talent would be necessarily as strong as it is right now with the Ravens, but the price tag that Bill Belichick would uncharacteristically have to make is something that I can't see happening. He's
never done anything like this.
In 8,000 years,
He's
Belichick
never
would make
done
this
anything
move.
like that.
And I don't see him, he overpaid at the exact wrong time. Kind of. Not this offseason, last offseason, I believe it was. Was that the offseason where he spent a bunch of money? The 2021 offseason.
The year before, yeah.
It was after 2020. Yeah. It was the draft of Mac Jones, so the 2021 offseason. He got Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry and a bunch of just talent. I think he had at the time he's spending the most on wide receivers and offensive weapons at that time. And now
he got two good players out of it, Judon and Hunter Henry.
Right.
The rest of them have not been good at all.
I personally,
some of them are both of the other two big ones are gone. Aguilar and Jonnu Smith, they're both gone.
Personally, I don't love the Jonnu Smith move. I think if they should have, first of all, Belichick apparently, according to reports, wanted to sign Bill O'Brien last season, but he was afraid that he'd be a one and done. He would be there, show up, do decently or do well, and then move on to his next job, maybe as a head coach somewhere.
Oh, yeah?
That's what Belichick was afraid of, and that's why, supposedly. But
that could happen again.
It very well could happen again. That's why I think the Jonnu Smith move was a little bit weird, because I think, it could have been first, if it was to clear up cap space, who are you spending that cap space on? Who are you spending the money on?
It may not be done yet.
The Patriot way.
Did you see Donta Hightower retired?
I did. That was like 2 weeks ago. I told you about that. So I would actually really, really like this move. Seeing Lamar in a Patriots uniform, you can see it on our topic bar.
So would I, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Looks nice. I also don't think it's going to happen. I also think that...
I think they're watching. I don't think they've given up, but I do think they would have to be much less money than Lamar's looking for, and that, I don't know. Lamar
wouldn't want that. Belichick ain't willing to pay it.
Yeah.
It's just a situation that that won't turn out very well. But coming up, a potential first-round playoff preview between the Warriors and the Kings tonight, and we showcase our first mock drafts for the 2023 NFL Draft right after this.
Introducing video podcasts on Spotify.
Transform your storytelling into a show everyone can watch
or listen to.
Easily upload your video through Anchor, Spotify's free podcast creation tool.
So whether you're showing off a new recipe,
interviewing an exclusive guest,
or uncovering the next mystery,
you can now reach a whole new audience with Spotify.
Podcasting just became more than audio.
Create with Anchor, watch on Spotify.
You have a lot to say. Maybe you've thought, I should start a podcast. Meet Anchor, the easiest way to make a podcast ever. It's a powerful mobile app and web tool that lets you record a podcast anywhere and distribute it everywhere. It's great whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out. And it's 100% free. You can record your show straight into Anchor on your phone, iPad, or the web, using any mic you want. Record alone or with friends or co-hosts anywhere in the world. You can add background music and transitions, and your listeners can send you voice messages that you can incorporate right into your next episode. If you want to produce your show using another app, you can upload your own audio directly from web or mobile, and still take advantage of Anchor's totally free podcast hosting. Once your podcast is ready to publish, Anchor can automatically distribute it to every major podcast platform. That includes Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify, so your listeners can hear your show wherever they want. And on the web, you can see detailed analytics about how people are listening. Plus, you'll get a great-looking profile page where anyone can listen to your podcast or subscribe to it. And if you want to ask your audience to support your work, Anchor makes it easy to collect monthly payments from the people who love your podcast and want to see it grow. You really don't need a recording studio, expensive equipment, or a bunch of technical knowledge to deal with a podcast feed. Just get started and join the diverse community of podcasters already on Anchor. We can't wait to hear your podcast.
Welcome back to the Harvey Hour. My name's Nathan Harvey, and as always, I'm joined alongside my dad, Stephen Harvey. Let's get into our next topic because we're talking more basketball. We're going back. We're going to the association for this episode of the Harvey Hour because we could potentially be seeing a round one preview. The Warriors are at the 6 seed. Kings are at the 3 seed. We could be seeing this as a preview to what the playoffs may look like coming up. They play tonight, 10 p.m. Eastern. The Warriors are favored by 9 points. Surprisingly, but if you look a little bit deeper, it doesn't seem so surprising because there's a chance that stars De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis are rested this game, but it all depends on whether or not the Grizzlies win their matchup, which is earlier. If the Grizzlies win, then they will probably play, I believe.
Oh, yeah? They're worried about losing their seed?
Right now, the Grizzlies are dealing with injuries, so the outcome of that game will probably determine which stars of the Kings that they do play, because they're dealing with a lot of rested or questionable or injuries, something like that. So I want to know, who do you think wins tonight? And if this is truly the first round matchup, Kings-Warriors, who do you think wins in a 7-game series?
Okay, well, I would say that if the Kings rest their players, then the Warriors will probably win. If the Kings don't rest their players, then I think the Kings will win. I think the wild card here, I think the Warriors will have a very hard time beating the Kings in the playoffs for one big reason. Mike Brown was a coach with Steve Kerr for many years on the Warriors, and he knows their offense. He knows their players inside out better than any other coach in the league, and he's a very good coach. So I think he'll make it very, very difficult for the Warriors in the playoffs if that's the matchup.
Right. So out of a 7-game series, who would you give?
You know what? There's still 3-4 games left.
There is right now. There's 2 games left.
That's all.
2 games left. Season's
Is Wiggins playing tonight?
Wiggins not going to play the regular season. It's going to be playoff ready.
Well, I think the Warriors will have a very hard time beating the Kings. I think there's a good chance the Kings could beat them.
I think it's more than a good chance. Tonight, the Warriors are favored by 9. Personally, I'll take Kings plus 9 easily. Warriors are playing on the road. They don't play well on the road. The last time...
Well, you're going with the spread there. The Warriors might win. But
No, I'm saying the Kings win. I'm saying
Kings are going to beat. Kings are going to win.
Take Kings all the way. Money line. Take them on plus 9.
Even without their other players.
I don't care who they play. The Warriors are bad on the road. They lost to a Nikola Jokic-less Nuggets team. Nikola Jokic is the reason why. They went like 25-0 when Nikola Jokic scores a triple-double. Outside of that, the Nuggets are not really a good team. So, I'm taking the Kings to win. The Kings on offense are the number 1 offensive rated team. Number 1. They score the most points per game at 121.3 points a game. The Warriors give up the 23rd most, or I guess they're 23rd in opponent points per game at 117.6. The defensive rating is 19th. They don't play defense. Even with starters on the floor, they don't play defense, especially on the road. So I don't care who's out there. It could be the Rockets. It could be the Spurs. I don't really care who it is. The Warriors are screwed. On the road, the Warriors have been absolutely abysmal. They
Well,
won.
then they're going to lose in the playoffs too because they don't have the home court advantage.
Absolutely.
And I think Mike Brown has their number.
Maybe he was a very, very good assistant coach, and now
He was a pretty good head coach when he was a head coach.
Now
He's a really good head coach, right?
Absolutely.
He's the number 3 seed.
I
And
would
that Kings
personally
team-
give
the
him
Kings
coach
team-
of the year.
The Kings team was lousy last year,
Yeah.
right? But they picked up good players, right? Sabonis
Sabonis is a great player. Fox is a good
I don't
player.
know why the Pacers let him go. I don't understand that.
That's a good question.
Yeah, they could have used him this year. They're terrible.
Yeah, I would say. I think Halliburton quietly dropped 20 and 10. Quietly. No one really, because it's the Pacers. The Pacers aren't going anywhere, so
Yeah.
Halliburton isn't this big name. However, in a 7-game series, I would take Kings to win in 5. I would take the Kings to dominate the Warriors.
I think it would go more games than that. But
The Kings don't
think
play great defense, and the Warriors have a big tendency to shoot poorly. Klay Thompson has been more consistent than he was, significantly more consistent than he was last year. Last year was bad, but he was coming back from an injury. Curry, I believe, is nearing a 50-40-90 season. 50% from the floor, 40% from 3, 90% from the free throw line.
It's pretty good.
But outside of those two players, Gary Payton isn't really an offensive catalyst.
He's a good defensive player.
He's okay now. He's still dealing with that injury, but he is playing. Kevon Looney isn't really going to put up big numbers offensively. He can get a couple of boards here and there. Andre Iguodala is a fossil. He doesn't really do much anymore. He's not his finals MVP defensive performance, Andre Iguodala. Moses Moody, I haven't seen him play in a long time because he's not really even that good. Dante DiVincenzo has been very, very inconsistent. The word Jordan Poole is okay. He's okay. He put up 30 points recently, but you see that once in a blue moon. He doesn't really drop 30 points that often. So, regardless of who's out there for the Kings, it could be Sabonis, it could be De'Aaron Fox, it could be sans De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis. I don't care who it is, but the Kings are also dealing with Keegan Murray, Davion Mitchell, Trey Lyles, Malik Monk, and Kevin Huerter. Those are all also questionable. So they may come out with, 10, 11, 12, and practice squad. I guess they don't practice squad. They may need to bring up people for this game in case, or maybe they already have. Or maybe they need to play some of these questionable guys. Who knows who's going to play? But I don't think it matters, regardless if De'Aaron Fox or Domantas Sabonis are out there. I don't think it'll make a difference. The Warriors are a horrible road team. I think they're 7-30, 7-31 on the road.
Bad.
It's abysmal. So I would easily take the Kings. Take the +9.
Why do you think it's only going to be 5 games? The Warriors are a very good home team. They have one of the best home records in the league.
They're recently they haven't been doing great on at home. I'm bringing it up right now. They had a good comeback against the Thunder. The Spurs, you want to beat up on the Spurs. The Pelicans, you had a decent comeback with.
Beat Milwaukee.
They
at home. Giannis is playing.
I think you're thinking the Celtics.
Huh?
The Warriors didn't play.
The Warriors beat I think it was Milwaukee. Yeah.
They haven't played Milwaukee in a while.
Oh yeah. I thought it was not that long ago.
I think you're thinking the Celtics, where the Celtics just blew.
No,
blew
I'm
the.
not.
Oh
no, it's Philadelphia. I'm sorry, I'm wrong. Philadelphia. They beat Philadelphia at home just recently.
They did. Hold on. They did actually beat the Bucks back early March in overtime, 125-126 at home.
At home, and they beat Philadelphia at home.
They did.
Just recently.
Yes, 120.
Came back from being behind and beat them.
Right.
Pretty convincingly, too. They were ahead by quite a bit by the end.
So, I just think this Kings team, I believe, this should be their second game playing them. It's like, oh, my bad. It's their 4th time playing them. They beat them at the very beginning of the year, the 3rd game. They beat them 130-125. They beat them 116-113, and then lost to them on the road 115-122. So 2 times they have beat them at home.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I think it could go 7 games.
I have a bad feeling, though. I don't think in the playoffs the Warriors are going to flip some magical switch and go back into championship form.
I think the fact that Wiggins is coming back is good, but the fact he won't be, his first game back will be a playoff game, I think is pretty bad.
Against the hottest offense
I don't know
in
why
the
they
NBA.
don't have him in there for a couple of games just to get warmed up,
Play him for
Try
what,
to get
10
him
minutes
going.
just to get him some sort of...
Get him some a little bit of action before the playoffs.
I would say
He's been out for a long time.
In 2 days, you're playing Portland. Portland has given up. Portland has been giving up every single year. because they're just not a great team. So maybe drop him in for, I don't know, 5-10 minutes.
Yeah, I
maybe.
think they should.
I'm not sure they will, though, because I think they've shut him down for the regular season, but I think it's
He's
going to
not
be
hurt. It was a personal matter.
It was a family issue. Yeah. So this team doesn't. I don't feel great about this team.
They're going to do something next year.
But
They're going to have to bring in a piece.
But you need to give up somebody.
They need a big guy.
They do need
a big guy.
Because once again, I'm going to bring it up again because I think this is important. So the Warriors, I've said this countless times on this show. They are 29th in turnovers. They turn the ball over almost the most times in the league. 28 personal fouls. They foul everybody. They're 30th in free throw attempts. They don't shoot free throws. They're not getting down low and being physical and drawing fouls.
They just said the key word, physical. They're not big enough to be physical.
They're a small team, a very, very small team. Guess what? They're number one in 3-point attempts.
Yeah.
Shocking. They have Curry, Klay Thompson, Jordan Poole, all these guys that shoot threes. But they're not a physical team. Teams just absolutely destroy them down low. And you got Draymond Green playing the 5 generally. He's 6'6".
Yeah.
This is not the 1960s where you had an anomaly of a 7-foot guy playing. And everyone else was like 6'2" at the very best.
Wow.
It's not happening.
A little
anymore.
bigger than that.
Hey, what do you want to give it 6'4" at the most?
Wow.
I don't think there may 6'8" guys roaming around in the NBA. I could be wrong.
Bill Russell
but
was 6'9".
that's what I'm saying. You had the anomaly of one or two.
6'9", 6'8", 6'9". You had people playing center.
I mean, I saw Bill Russell. He would just grab up, just touch it. No one could hit his arm if they were that small. He played against guys that weren't really great basketball players back then. But this team is not physical. They foul. They don't rebound very. They're average. They're average on the rebounds. They're below average on steals.
What seed are they in right now?
They're in the 6th seed.
They've hung on to the 6th seed.
There is a chance.
With 2 games to go.
There is a chance that they drop all the way down into the play-in at the number 8 or 9 spot.
Yeah.
The Lakers and
that's why they gotta win the game
Pelicans
tonight.
could jump them.
That's why they got to win tonight.
Tonight is a must-win.
All they got to do is win out, and they don't lose the 6th seed.
Here's the crazy thing. I don't care who. Once again, I don't care who Portland plays. I'm willing to bet not that much because I don't bet, but I have a funny feeling that Portland could cause them some trouble on April 9th. I have a funny feeling. You're playing on the road. Your last 2 games are on the road. I have a funny feeling Portland, regardless of who's out there, could cause a little bit of trouble. But I think we will see. But now, it is time. I've done this now. It's going to be going on 3 straight years of doing a mock draft. We are going to be showcasing our mock drafts for 2023. No trades, and this is our number 10. This is just 1 through 10. Next Friday we'll do 11 to 20, and then we'll finish up 21 to 31. The reason
32.
why the Dolphins forfeited their pick. There's only 31 picks in this first round of this year's draft. I will begin with the first pick of the draft. Let's play some draft music. The number 1 pick, the Carolina Panthers. They select C.J. Stroud, Ohio State. The Panthers have, you talk about the Jets having quarterback issues. The Panthers are right there next to them. They've cycled through quarterbacks like Kyle Allen, Teddy Bridgewater, P.J. Walker, a washed up and returning Cam Newton, Sam Darnold, and Baker Mayfield. Not great quarterbacks, you would say. Now they got Andy Dalton as right now their quarterback 1. They need someone who's very, very good at that quarterback position and can be extremely reliable. We're talking about C.J. Stroud here. His 41 touchdowns, was ranked 2nd last year. And think about how well he did against a dominant defense of Georgia. He threw for 348 yards and 4 touchdowns against the most dominant defense in the NCAA, or was it's in men's football last year. It was an insanely great performance. Now they did lose that game. We saw how Georgia looked against a weird TCU team that put all their energy against Michigan and had nowhere near the same energy they had against Georgia. But he was 8th in big-time throws last year, and the Panthers, they got rid of DJ Moore, replaced him with Adam Thielen, the wide receiver 1 turned wide receiver 2 on the Vikings when Justin Jefferson got there. So C.J. Stroud is my number 1 overall pick. Number 2, the Houston Texans select Bryce Young, quarterback of Alabama. We take a look at the Texans here. They are making a lot of moves in free agency. They signed tight end Dalton Schultz, a very, very good tight end for the Dallas Cowboys, safety Jimmy Ward, and defensive lineman Sheldon Rankins. So they're building depth, and they also re-signed Laramie Tunsil to an extension, and now right now he's the highest paid tackle in the NFL, $75 million for 3 years, $50 million fully guaranteed. The Texans could look, I'm not going to say they're a playoff team, they could definitely cause some rumblings in the AFC South. I'll go Bryce Young, number 2, to the Houston Texans. Number 3, the Arizona Cardinals select Will Anderson, edge rusher, Alabama. He's arguably the best player in this draft, and we're just going big board. Arguably the best player. He was tied for first in sacks last year with 13 and fifth in hurries with 42. His first year as a true freshman in 2020 and his sophomore year in 2021, he led the league in pressures. He's an extremely explosive player off the line, and Will Anderson, like I said, could very well be the best player in this draft if we're just going on the big board, not necessarily positional-wise. Number 4, the Indianapolis Colts. I don't think many people are going to agree with this, but maybe you will. I'm taking Will Levis. There's reports coming out already saying that the Colts will be going for Will Levis instead of Lamar Jackson. We talked about that on our show back on, I believe it was Friday, or maybe it was Monday. I think it was Monday, actually. The Colts sent a convoy over to a private practice with Will Levis, so you know that they're already heavily invested in Will Levis. Will Levis has the size of a prototypical quarterback, 6'4", 230 pounds, and he has the strongest arm strength right now, at least ball speed-wise, at 59 miles an hour at the combine. The dude could sling it. He has some accuracy issues. He has some decision-making issues. But I think the way we're going with this, the Colts right now, they're going to get a prototypical quarterback, play it safe with a first-time head coach, and I'm taking Will Levis at number 4. Number 5, the Seattle Seahawks and Pete Carroll select edge rusher Tyree Wilson from Texas Tech. So the Seahawks are going to address a big problem and a big need with Tyree Wilson at this spot. He's an extremely big and extremely physical 3-down edge defender. And he's going to definitely set the tone on this defense. You actually lost Bobby Wagner for last season, brought him back. You're trying to beef up that defense. You haven't had a great defense for a couple of years now. Tyree Wilson has a extremely rare length when it comes to an edge defender, and his overall strength and power, that puts him definitely in a top 5 position. I think, honestly, we may be looking at maybe a little bit too high, or I guess too low for Tyree Wilson on this list. This extremely powerful playmaker for Tyree Wilson going to the Seahawks. I think this may be a steal for the Seahawks at the number 5 spot. Number 6, the Detroit Lions and Dan Campbell select cornerback Christian Gonzalez from Oregon. The Lions were ranked 30th in passing defense last year. We all remember how bad their defense was. Well, what do? You try to beef up that defense with maybe the best cornerback in this draft. Most of the Lions defensive backs last season gave up 100-plus passer rating when being targeted at. That's how bad their pass defense was. Gonzalez is an extremely, extremely athletic and explosive cornerback. He's 6'1", 196 pounds. I'm not saying he's Sauce Gardner. Does he have a relative size of Sauce Gardner? I believe he does. And also, we take a look at the tape of Christian Gonzalez. He may be the most versatile corner in this draft. He could play press. He could play off man. He could play man coverage. He could play zone. He could play outside. He could play inside. This guy's all over the place. I think the Detroit Lions pick up a great defensive back. And number 7, you see there, Devon Witherspoon, cornerback of Illinois. We're talking about another defense that's not great last year. The Las Vegas Raiders. That's one of their most nagging needs, that and offensive line. Originally, in my mock 0.5, I guess you could call it, I actually had offensive tackle Peter Skoronski from, I believe, Northwestern at this position, but I thought, I'm stupid. Yes, they do need an offensive line, an offensive lineman, but their passing defense was horrible. We take a look at Devon Witherspoon. The pass defense for the Raiders was ranked 29th last year, one above the Detroit Lions. He's a very, very physical cornerback who is pretty good in coverage, especially against tight ends. He's that type of cornerback that is a big cornerback and can take down these tight ends. He had 14 pass breakups and 3 INTs, and he allowed a passer rating of 25.3 when he was being targeted. 25.3 on a passer rating. That's 0 to 158.3. That is insane. He was the highest graded cornerback by Pro Football Focus at a 92.0, 22 catches on 63 targets, 206 yards given up. Devon Witherspoon, a dominant cornerback. Raiders get a great pickup here. Here's where it gets interesting. Strictly because of the rumors that came out about a certain position the Falcons should have pursued, I'm going number 8, the Atlanta Falcons draft Anthony Richardson, quarterback from Florida. He's the most athletic quarterback in the draft. Who should have the Falcons targeted this offseason? Lamar Jackson. So, go with a cheaper, not saying the same level, but a cheaper alternative of Anthony Richardson. He does have some accuracy issues. In college, he averaged 54.7%, 24 touchdowns, and 15 interceptions as a college quarterback, so there's some concern there. But he barely played in college. In 3 years, he played 22 games. Arthur Smith has now made it a priority on that offense to be a physical run-first team. So you put an extremely... That's why people are saying Lamar is a perfect fit for this team. So you get the alternative of an Anthony Richardson there. Think about the running back talent that the Falcons have. They got Cordell Patterson, a great special teams receiver, I guess you can call him. He's a running back receiver. He has a bunch of different positions. You also have Tyler Algier, who I believe was a rookie last year. He did pretty great as a running back. He was like a top 3 rookie running back. You also got Caleb Huntley. They're 3 of the most physical players, at least running back wise, in the NFL. They have everything in place to bring in a type of player like Anthony Richardson and bring him up slowly. Now you might be saying, what about Desmond Ridder? Desmond Ridder doesn't look that great. You want some guy that fits what you're trying to sort of accomplish in the NFL a little bit better, and that's what Anthony Richardson gives you. If you want to be a run-first team, and that's why Lamar, people were saying, go get Lamar, this is why. You want to go out and get Lamar? Do you want to spend $231 million guaranteed, plus the rest of his contract on him? How about you get a guy that will cost, we're talking about $15 million? So go get Anthony Richardson, fits your offense better, and if he doesn't work out early on, you still got Desmond Ridder. You'll sort of be probably, if stuff doesn't work out great with Desmond Ridder and Anthony Richardson isn't ready, you'll get a top 10 pick, adding more talent, adding receivers. So there you go. Number 9 pick, the Chicago Bears select their nagging need, offensive tackle Peter Skoronski, Northwestern. Justin Fields gets his blindside tackle, although there is concern due to the length of Skoronski that they will move him from tackle into guard. Justin Fields was tied for the league lead in sacks. He got sacked 55 times last season. First of all, Justin Fields didn't look great starting out. He averaged like 10 completions a game. But after that Patriots game where he exploded, we saw what Justin Fields could actually look like. The only problem was he had like half a second in the pocket. And then we saw he was going for Lamar Jackson's rushing record as a quarterback. Well, you want him to sort of stay in the pocket and be able to throw without being pressured almost instantaneously. You get maybe arguably the best tackle in the draft, Peter Skoronski at number 9. He's an immediate starter coming out of college. He's not that guy you need to bring up or be number 2 on the depth chart. He could be an immediate starter. The question is, do the Bears trust him enough with his lack of length to put him at a tackle, or will he be the guard? You need someone at that blindside tackle. I think you could put Peter Skoronski at that tackle position, and I think he would excel. And the number 10 pick to wrap up my mock draft 1.0, the Philadelphia Eagles select Jalen Carter, defensive tackle of Georgia. Now, he should not be this low in the top 10. But due to his off-the-field issues, he will start to drop. He will drop. A lot of teams reportedly have already taken him off their board, or at least dropped him on their board. But the Eagles need a replacement for Javon Hargrave. They lost him to the 49ers. If they want a glimpse of that dominant defense, and especially that dominant pass rush, they got, 70 sacks last season? You want to bring in a talent like Jalen Carter. If he didn't have the off-the-field issues, I would replace him with Will Anderson at the number 3 spot. Will Anderson would probably move to number 5. Tyree Wilson would probably drop to number 10. But because of his off-the-field issues, Jalen Carter will drop to number 10. He's an explosive. He's a powerful, and he's unblockable at times. Like, that's how good Jalen Carter could be, except how many teams will trust him to stay on the field and not sort of worry about his off-the-field issues. He hasn't met with any teams outside of the top 10. He's banking on a top 10 team to pick him, and I think he's going to get his wish, but barely get his wish with the Eagles picking him at number 10. And that is my mock draft 1.0. I just want to get your quick thoughts on my mock draft. What do you think of it?
I think it's pretty good, and you've got really good analysis behind it. So, yeah, I think that the two quarterbacks will go first. And when we get to my picks, you'll see how I did that. And you're probably right. I have Will Anderson a little lower, but he could be gone by the time I get him later on in my 10 picks. I have Jalen Carter higher, but you're right. He has the off-field issues. That's a bigger and bigger thing with teams as they find that these guys just can't control themselves. So you could be right. You've got a couple of guys in there that I don't have. So I think overall, Nate, you make a good argument for these guys for the teams that you have them going to, and those teams will benefit from these guys for sure.
Yeah. Well, Let's get into your picks. Let's move over here. Here we go. Let's go. The number one pick, the Carolina Panthers. Let's play some music. Number one pick. Who's the number one pick?
The number one pick for me is Bryce Young.
Woo!
I think he's the best quarterback coming out of college. His size might be a little bit of an issue. He's only 5'11", 195 pounds. But his stats are incredible, right? His college stats are best college stats. And he fits the new NFL quarterback strategy, right? The more mobile quarterback who can throw on the run, can make a play out of a broken play if it happens. I think Bryce Young is the guy. And I think Carolina was talking about Richardson. Why would they trade up to number 1 from number 9 to pick Richardson? I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's a smokescreen. I think Bryce Young's the guy.
I do want to just interject real quick that they did, I believe I saw a report, they are meeting with Anthony Richardson like very, very soon. So I just want to throw that in.
Okay, well.
I clearly do agree with you, though. I don't think it's a good idea.
Yeah, I don't think why would you trade up to number 1 to pick him? He's not going number 1. Okay, number 2. I flip with you, and I have C.J. Stroud going to the Texans. He's the next best quarterback in the draft. In fact, he might go number 1. It could be a flip like you have it, but we flipped these two. Houston definitely needs a quarterback, right? Poor Mills, he hasn't fared very well. I thought he might do okay. Maybe he will later on in his career, but now I'd say he'd be the backup to Stroud if Stroud looks good in the preseason. So the way C.J. Stroud played against Georgia, you laid out the stats there. He's the real deal, and I think he'll be a very good pick for Houston or the Panthers. It could be flipped as you have it, but we'll see. Number 3. I have Jalen Carter going number 3 to Arizona. I think they need the lineman more than they need a linebacker. So that's why I put him up there. I agree with everything you said about him. He's all world, can't be stopped, and whether the off-field issues make him drop, we'll see. But the Cardinals have got some kind of crazy guys on their team already, so why not add another one? You got Kyler Murray. Why not add Jalen Carter? Huh? Okay, number 4. The Jets' 2 quarterbacks are gone. The Colts need a quarterback. They're going to take Will Levis. I agree with your analysis. He's got a rocket arm. His athleticism's off the charts. Whether he's got the head for the game or not remains to be seen, and whether he can throw the ball accurately or not remains to be seen. Those are the 2 question marks, but he does show leadership skills, and I think he's a good pick for the Colts. And I agree that they're not going to go the Lamar route. Nobody is, because of the money that Lamar wants, and either Lamar is going to have to moderate his wishes, or he's going to be either not playing next year or back with the Ravens on the non-exclusive franchise tag. Okay, at number 5, I have Miles Murphy. And he comes from Clemson, and I think he'll be a very good player for Seattle. I don't think Seattle, you might think, well, maybe they could go for a quarterback, but they just gave Geno Smith an extension, and he played well last year, so I don't think they're going to go quarterback. They're going to go with Miles Murphy. Next, I have, just as you did, I took Christian Gonzalez for the Detroit Lions. I agree with you. He is a lockdown corner. The Lions picked Jeff Okudah in a recent draft, and he really hasn't worked out all that well. I think Gonzalez will be the guy. Next, again, we go back to Clemson, and we have Las Vegas picking Trenton Simpson, and they need a linebacker. Vegas. They have who is it? They have the guy who came from Arizona, played for the Patriots.
Chandler Jones.
He's more an edge rusher, though, right? He's not really a linebacker. So the Vegas is going to need to strengthen their defense. They have one of the Patriots' former guys running their defense. I think Trenton Simpson will be a good pick for the Vegas and strengthen their linebacker core, which is badly in need of it. Atlanta. I picked Paris Johnson. They need offensive line help. They have Jake Matthews. He's getting up there in age a little bit, 31 years old. Their offensive line needs help. I think Paris Johnson's the guy that's going to step in there and help strengthen their offensive line. Next, Chicago. I have Will Anderson going to Chicago. I mean, when the Chicago was in the number 1 spot, it was pretty clear they weren't going to take a quarterback. They probably would have taken Will Anderson with the first pick. Good chance he'll go to Arizona. I think you probably are right on that one. And he won't be there for Chicago by the time they get to the 9th pick. But if he is, I'm sure the Bears are going to pick him. They need a lot of help on defense, and Anderson may be the right guy for them. At number 10, I have Brian Breesy going to the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles play the 4-3 defense. They need a lineman on the up front, a new, young, really enthusiastic, highly motivated, athletic guy. And I think Brian Breesy, again from Clemson, is going to fit the bill. And those are my top 10 picks, Nate.
You got 3 Clemson guys on there.
Yep.
I just thought of that now. You got 3 Clemson guys. I don't know. Miles Murphy, I would say is not a bad pickup. I think that's a fine pick. Will Anderson, I think, honestly,
I think I've got it wrong. I think he's going to go higher than that. I kind of picked him that way because Chicago had the first pick, and that's who they were predicting they would take. But I think you're right. He probably will go number 3.
Other than that, I actually kind of like your picks there. Although I would take Skoronski if I were to choose. Excuse me. If I were to take an offensive tackle, I would choose Skoronski over Paris Johnson. But that's just me.
Who'd you have for the Raiders?
For the Raiders, I had Devon Witherspoon, cornerback of Illinois.
Yeah. I think they need linebacker help more than they need.
I don't know. They keep getting cooked on the line, so I just thought maybe it's a good idea. But those are our mock drafts. That's our mock draft 1.0.
1.0.
We'll do 2.0 on the next Friday. We'll do 11 to 20 or 11 to 21. I got to figure out how we're going to do that.
The Patriots pick coming up in there.
Patriots pick. Once again, no trades, so we can't do the classic Bill Belichick thing and he'll trade out. We're not going to be able to do that. So
he might do it.
He very well might do it, and that
he's had pretty good luck with that last year with the picks he got lower in the draft.
Not great.
Marcus Jones.
Yeah, okay, no, I will give you that. Give you that. But yeah, I do think that will actually wrap up this episode of the Harvey Hour. It's a good episode. I think it'll be interesting to see as the days and weeks go on how many more rumors come out about the draft, who's coming up, who's dropping down. The Anthony Richardson to Carolina is still picking up pace, still picking up speed. So I think it's going to be interesting to see.
Why would
just
they
that.
trade up for
I have
number
no
9?
idea.
Give up all that they gave up. They gave up a ton
Yeah, maybe.
to get to the number 1 pick to pick him.
Yeah.
He's rated
not,
the 4th best quarterback. He's not even number 2.
Well, surprisingly, I went down a lot of mock drafts to see just how crazy my mock is actually going to be. The amount of mock drafts I've seen Anthony Richardson going to the Colts, I was tempted to put him there, but I just thought, there's all these reports out. I mean, the Colts are targeting Will Levis over Lamar Jackson. So there's no way, if you're valuing Will Levis's potential over Lamar's, that you put Anthony Richardson.
Quarterback.
Exactly. It's an entirely different quarterback. So
maybe that's a smoke screen, and they're really targeting Richardson. But maybe they think that he's going to be gone before they get to pick.
Maybe. I'm not too sure. But that will wrap up this episode of the Harvey Hour. My name is Nathan Harvey. That's my dad, Stephen Harvey. Happy Easter. Have a great weekend, everybody. We will see you Monday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, right here on YouTube.
Introducing video podcasts on Spotify
Transform your storytelling into a show everyone can watch.
or listen to.
Easily upload your video through Anchor, Spotify's free podcast creation tool.
So whether you're showing off a new recipe
Interviewing an exclusive guest,
or uncovering the next mystery,
you can now reach a whole new audience with Spotify.
podcasting just became more than audio.
Create with Anchor, watch on Spotify.